Hey guys, Light is here, and today we're gonna do something a little bit special. Now, as an aspiring voice actor, I could appreciate a good voice when I hear it, no matter whether it's female, or male, or child even, anything in between. Helicopters, trees, anything that you can think of. So today, I thought we would do something a little bit unorthodox, because I know you can see a lot of tier lists going around about Genshin on who's the strongest, who has the best haircut, who has the biggest ass that was ever in existence. Which is Eula, by the way, but that's beside the point. So, right now, we will do a tier list on every single Genshin character up to 3.1 voice, or directly voice actors. Now, that's not directly a diss on voice actors, but it's just how characters are represented and what I feel about them. Now, let's start with the main character, called Aether. Now, he sounds like somebody who has the most default voice imaginable. Also, he speaks only for like 2% of the story, which makes him more of a muse than anything. So just because we don't hear them too often, I think I'll just put him in the middle of the road, like a B tier. Because, honestly, his voice is not too bad, but like, you hear it once in a millennium, which makes him a little bit obsolete. Now, next one of my favorites actually, Alberto. Now, Alberto is a special case, because he's hot as hell, like, you can't deny it. But his voice, it suits his personality, but at the same time, like, his voice just sounds like a nerdy guy, but he looks like a model. Which kind of puts him in a B tier as well, because I don't think his voice and his looks match that well. But at the same time, he's hot as hell, so I can't put him below B. Now, Amber. Now, Amber sounds like a sweet girl, somebody probably your first girlfriend was. So, I put her at A tier just because she's a ranger, and she cares about animals, probably, which is kinda cool. So she's probably quite caring, and her voice makes my heart flutter every time. Okay, Ayaka. Now, Ayaka is... how would I say it? She's kind of bland, in my opinion, voice acting wise. Because she sounds like a Porsche character, but at the same time, she doesn't have much of personality except being thirsty for the main character 90% of the time. So I put her at the C tier. Now, Barbara. She sounds like every VTuber in existence, so I put her at F tier. Now, Beidou. Beidou is a strong, independent woman that doesn't need anyone. But her voice makes me scared of her. So I put her A tier because fear is quite important. Now, Bennett. Bennett sounds like a Boy Scout. And Boy Scouts scare me because they know a lot of survival tactics, which means they can put me in a bind within seconds, tie a noose around my neck, anything like that goes. So, once again, unlike Beidou, he doesn't instill too much fear, but kids are scary. So, I'll put him at C tier, just because his character is quite amusing, so I do like it. Now, Chungyun. Chungyun. Well, Chungyun sounds like an embodiment of an icicle, which is kinda cool. So, I'll put him at a B tier. Just because he sounds kind of like Bennett, and once again, he's probably like 12 or 13, which makes me a little bit fearful of him. Because kids are scary. Now, Diluc. Deluxe is kind of like a Batman of Genshin universe, which makes him pretty cool. Now, the one thing about Deluxe that is kind of unusual is that he owns a winery but he doesn't drink, which makes me feel like his voice is a bit of a mix between rich yet extremely nerdy person that has exceptional daddy issues, which is kind of hard, so I'll put him in S tier. Now, Diona. Now, personally, I'm not into furries, but I'm afraid of furries as well. Like, kids and furries are two categories that I don't want to mess with, so I'll put it as C tier. Official. Now, official sounds like a psychotic woman who probably would stab you at the slightest sign of betrayal. And for that reason, she goes into F tier. Now, Ganyu. Ganyu sounds like if Microsoft Sam was a person, because her lines are always at the same pitch, which makes her an F tier, honestly. Character-wise, I would put her B tier, but like, voice-wise, she's just extremely bland. Now, Hu Tao is an S tier, because let's be honest, her lines are incredible, she's extremely cheerful, and I just like her a lot. She has a cool little sister wife, which I kinda fuck with. So that's Jean. Now Jean sounds like a protectful mother, who would probably drive you to like a soccer practice or something, and would make you a sandwich whenever you ask her to. She reminds me kind of my mother, so I'll put her A tier. Now Kaya. Kaya sounds like every single stock bro out there. He would probably try to sell you on cryptocurrency, like his new scheme that would go to the moon. So I'll put him in S, C tier. Now Kaching. Kaching sounds like every single weak fan at anime conventions that would try to sell her paintings to you at like a back alley or something. So I'll put her C tier as well. Now, Klee. Klee sounds like an adorable little sister as well, same as Hutao vibe, but I like Hutao. She's a little bit annoying. So I'll put her at 80. Now, listen. Now, I'm pretty sure every single Genshin Impact player, whenever they heard Lisa climbing, is an S tier. Whenever they hear her talk in general, it's around B tier. So it's rounded up at A tier because MILFs are pretty hot, and honestly, I kind of fuck with her voice, so there's that. Now, Lamine. Now, unlike Aether, Lamine kind of sounds generic, kind of like Ayaka, but at the same time, she kind of has a little thing going on with Shao, which is kind of hot. I mean, I guess Aether as well, but like, this is more canon, I guess. So I'll put her at like, I'd say high C tier, because Aether is a little bit cooler in my opinion. Now, Moana. Now, she's always broke, which makes her a little bit too annoying to play because she always complains about money, which kind of makes her feel a little bit generic, but at the same time, she does have a great body, which kind of makes me want to put her B tier as well. So, Ningguang. Now, Ningguang is a unusual case because she's kind of a weird mix between Beidou and I'd say Jean, because she has like slight bit of Lisa going on with a bit of maternal instinct vibes from Jean and badass attitude from Beidou, but she mostly cares only about money, and that's what she mostly talks about, which kind of makes her sound a little bit boring, because her conversations with her would be most likely about monetary possessions, which I'm not the biggest fan of, so I'll put her like middle of a B tier. Now, Noelle. Noelle just sounds kind of like a maid, like a generic maid, who just there to serve you. She wouldn't really know what to tell you, or how to speak to you in general, besides following your requests. So I kind of put her above Bennett, I'd say. Kind of above here, about C tier. Now, Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi sounds like the most horrifying child in existence. Her voice is extremely disturbing to me, and the fact that she's a zombie doesn't really make it any better. So I'll put her at about F tier, let's be real. Her gameplay and her voice kind of match. Now, Razor. Razor sounds like somebody who barely learned English and just dropped out from like 2nd grade. But at the same time, he kind of sounds sweet as well. He has a heart of gold, which makes me feel compassionate towards him. And his voice lines are kind of cool as well. He's a little bit of badass. Plus, an extremely high regard is he has a JoJo stance. Like Stan from JoJo it's extremely favorable to me as a fellow JoJo fan. So I'll put him in an A, like a bottom A tier, because I don't think he's quite yet at Lisa territory. Now, Sucrose. Sucrose has like a sweetheart kind of voice. Like she's extremely caring, extremely like all about helping others, which I kind of fuck with. So I'll put her at A tier as well. I think she's a little bit better than Klee, so I'll put her right here. Now, Tartaglia, or Tartaglia, however you want to call it. It's an Italian name, so... Personally, I call him Child. I know that's a little bit unorthodox, but... Child, to me, is somebody who has a little bit of official vibe in a male form. But at the same time, he also has a pretty cool Big Brother vibes, which, as somebody who always wishes they had a brother as a single child, I think he speaks to me. So I'll put him at about Gene, about A tier. Now, Venti. Now, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but when I heard Venti, I saw it was a girl, which made me feel ways that I'm not sure I'm the biggest fan of, but at the same time, it is what it is. So, for that reason alone, I'll put him at the top of A tier, just because he made me feel emotions that I didn't know were within me. But then again, I'm a fellow JoJo fan, so it's understandable, so I'll put him at A tier. Now, Zhengling. She's a little bit of a little sister vibe as well, I guess. It's a little bit strange because Goba, if it was Goba tier list, I would put Goba at an S tier, even though he doesn't speak, but like Goba is a god tier, so Goba would be here. Now, Zhangling by herself, I'd say around a little bit above Keqing. Simply because she kind of sounds like a generic girl, and that's a little bit too generic to my liking. There's nothing too special, but at the same time she kind of sounds sweet. So I kind of would put her above Lumine, I'd say. Now, Zhao. Zhao sounds like every single angsty teen who found Evanescence songs, or like Linkin Park back in 2012. And start talking about their feelings all the time. Because most of his voice lines consist of worthless and lament, I'm pretty sure. Which makes him sound cool as somebody who went through their angsty teen phase. If he was back in 2012, I would put him in an S tier. But now, other than an adult man, it's a little bit cringy, so I would put him at about B tier. Now, Xingqiu. Xingqiu is kind of like Bennett. They're kind of like brothers in a way. I would even ship them, which I don't want to open that kind of worms, but that's a thing. But Shincho, unlike Bennett, has kind of a nerdy yet quite sophisticated voice, which I kind of like. So we put him about... I'd say... I'd say about here, about B tier. Now, this one... I don't want to even talk about her. She's an F tier because her voice is just a country voice. And I honestly don't even remember her name. That's how unimpressed I was with her when I first started playing Genshin, so I'll just put her F tier and be going. Now, Zhongli. Let's be real, it's the best voice in the game. Like, if you don't agree, then you have a problem and you need to work on it. Because let's be honest, whenever you're a man or a woman, first time you heard Zhongli's voice, like his reveal trailer, chances are you fell in love all over again. So, S tier, there's undoubtedly. Honestly, these two don't even deserve to be on the same tier as Zhongli, but for the sake of this tier list, we're just gonna stick with this. Now, Rosaria. Rosaria has like a cool vampire voice, a little bit cold, a little bit emotionless, but at the same time, kinda alluring, at least to me, as somebody who is a massive fan of Hellsing. I'd say she's about above Raze, I'd say, like low A tier. Now, Eula. Eula as a character is one of my favorites, and honestly, her voice is also quite refined, quite elegant, and I really like that. So I'll put her about S tier, yeah. Like, I don't think she's quite on the same level as Fatale or Diluc. Honestly, actually, let's do this. Because I think Diluc, unlike these three, has a little bit more similarities with like other characters here. But these three are quite unique on it itself. Now, Yanfei. Yanfei is a lawyer, which makes her sound a little bit scary, because lawyers are scary. But at the same time, she's quite friendly, and she's quite helpful. And that's resonating her voice quite a lot. So I'd say she's about a little bit above Lisa, because unlike Lisa, she actually has a bit more to her personality rather than being just thirsty all the time. Now, Kazuha. Probably my favorite character in the game, but his voice is a little bit of like, he's a samurai, right? So his voice should resound more like Japanese voice. Like, it should be more refined, more brutish maybe, but he sounds more like a gentle wind, I would describe him. He sounds quite calm, quite cheerful, carefree, which honestly I quite like because it makes him quite unique. It's kind of like Venti, but unlike Venti, he doesn't really make me feel too much based on his voice. As a character, he's probably an S tier, but as a voice, I'd say he's about here, about below Venti, just because Venti has that thing going on about him that you don't know his gender unless you look it up the first time. But Kazuha is quite refined as well, which I like. Now, Yoimiya. Yoimiya sounds like ride or die type of girl. Like, she would stick with you no matter what. And she also sells illegal firearms in the form of fireworks to children, which kind of makes her pretty sick. Probably would have cool stories to tell. So I'd say she's above Diluc. Now, Saya, voiced by Lily Pichu, who is quite an awesome content creator, but at the same time, it's a lolly, which I can't put too high because I'm not the biggest fan of children. But at the same time, the voice acting of her is quite cool, unlike Chi-Chi. So I'd say she's about a little bit above Klee. Now, Raiden Shogun. it's a straight up S tier. I'd say she's probably second best, just because she has two voices, one for Raiden Shogun and one for A, which makes her unique unlike everyone else. But at the same time, she has a sword that coming out of her chest, which makes her exceptional in every single way. And her voice lines make me feel ways that John Lee does as well. She's basically a female version of John Lee for me. Now, Sarah. Sarah is kind of a subordinate vibe. She kind of just feels like somebody who can't function without Raiden too much, and she needs orders in order to survive. So it kind of makes her sound a little bit bland, but at the same time she does sound pretty cool. So I'll put her about middle of an A tier. Now, Kokomi. Kokomi sounds like if Little Mermaid was an actual human being. And it's kind of cool. So I would put her, I think, above Beta, just because she sounds like a little princess, and it's kind of cool. As a fellow Disney fan in the past, I think that's pretty cool. Now, Aloy. I never played Horizon, so I'm not extremely familiar with her character, but from what I heard, she sounds pretty cool, but nothing like too special, so I'd kind of put her maybe a little bit above Razor. Actually, no, you know what? Middle of the road, just because I'm not too familiar with her. Now, Toma. Toma just sounds like a playboy who honestly would probably swindle you from all your money and then just leave you on the curbs, which I'm not an extreme fan of, so I kind of would put him at about B tier. Now, Ita. Ita speaks to me, because as a fellow deep voice man who just tries to have fun with everything in life, Ita speaks to me, so I would put him. It's tough choice, but I think I would put him at a first place just because he kind of resonates with me on a personal level, which I think is kind of cool. Now, Goro. Another furry. As I said, furry people are quite scary, and Goro has a cult-like following as well. But his voice is kind of cool. He kind of sounds like a mixture between Bennett and Toma, I'd say. And also he has an adorable quest where he dresses up as a girl, which is kind of cool. So I kind of would put him probably below Razor. Shenhe. Now Shenhe, just like Ganyu, kind of doesn't have any emotions, but unlike Ganyu, she actually has a little bit of a personality development, which kind of makes her, I'd say, top of a C tier. Now, this character, who I'm not extremely familiar with. The only thing I know about her is that she did an opera singing in one of the quests, but I can't quite remember her name. But from what I heard, her voice is actually quite unique, because unlike a lot of female characters, she actually, both visually and audio-wise, it's quite unique, which I'm quite a big fan of. So I think I would put her above Jean, right here, and about A tier. Now, Yamika. Yamika is kind of like an Inazuma version of Lisa, but unlike Lisa, she's not as thirsty. She's pretty thirsty, but she's not as thirsty. So I'll kind of put her above Beta. I think that's it. Ayata. Now, Ayata sounds like a more refined version of Toma, I'd say. As his subordinate, obviously. But Ayata, to me, I think he's an S tier. I think he's top 3 personally, just because his voice is very refined, very elegant. He speaks in a very calm and reserved manner, which I think is pretty cool. So I would say he's about S tier. Now Yelan. Yelan sounds like an extremely dominating woman, which I'm a big fan of. She sounds like somebody who would put you in your place and make you like respect her no matter what. And because of that, I think she's above Yoimiya. I think about S tier. Now, Kuki Shinobu. She kind of has a bit of a Kaching vibe, but at the same time, unlike Kaching, she doesn't resemble Weeb that much. So I'll kind of put her above Kaching. Hazel. Hazel is kind of like a downgraded version of Kazuha, so I would kind of put him in a bit of a B tier. And now we have the latest additions of characters, who I'm gonna be honest, I'm not too familiar with, but at the same time, I would probably not grade them because I haven't played these, so I'm not too familiar with them. But that should wrap it up for now. I'll probably update it in the future and see how it goes. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments how wrong I am, obviously. But hopefully don't take it too seriously, just for jokes. And as a fellow Genshin Impact player, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you all later. Bye bye.